Is Eagle, Idaho the best Boise, Idaho suburb? In this video, I am going to give you all the reasons why Eagle, Idaho might be the best Boise suburb and all the reasons why it might not. And we're going to take you on a little mini tour as well. Let's dive in. So where I'm standing is one of the places that you're going to come and have fun and eat all the things. I'm going to show you some of these awesome neighborhoods, but first, I think it's really important that you get an idea of exactly what it would look like if you were living right here. So to my right, we've got the Eagle Lux Real Theater. It is one of those awesome theaters with the big old reclining chairs. If you're like me and you think you're gonna relax and enjoy all that room, no, instead it's just enough room for all your kids to pile on your lap during the movie, which is totally awesome. Got a couple cool arcade games in there, but best of all, this is where all of the best food is in Eagle, Idaho. So we've got KB Burritos, which is a local mom and pop Mexican joint, Zeke's Pizza, which is great pizza, Stella's Ice Cream, best ice cream. But the best part is there's outdoor patio seating, and the little duckies will come up to your table with their babies in the springtime, and it's got pretty flowers and all the things. And Crave Restaurant, which is our kind of like creme de la creme of dining here in Eagle, Idaho. Casual fine dining is right here too. Cool thing that I just think is pretty awesome is they have the most alcohol sales in all of the state of Idaho. Even more than like Sun Valley, which is a big hotspot for tourists and skiers. Here in little Eagle, Idaho, I mean, that's pretty cool, and it just shows you how important getting out and being part of community is for people who live here. The other great thing about this location, Eagle, Idaho, which could be a con for a lot of people, is not super close to the freeway. I say it's about 8 to 15 miles away, depending where in Eagle you live. And at some time of the day, it can take you 15 minutes to get to the freeway, 10 minutes. Other times a day, 30 minutes, probably max 30 minutes. Just depends on where you're at. Right here in this part of Eagle, Idaho, we are just a few minutes from the freeway, but we are also just a short walk or horseback ride to the Boise River, the foothills, a fast drive away, and the foothills have all sorts of epic bike rides, hikes, you name it. You can do so much. We are also super close to Bogus Basin, where a lot of people hit the slopes in the wintertime. There is night skiing. It is God's country up there, and you get a view of all of the Treasure Valley. It is absolutely beautiful. So this location, not only is it super convenient to Costco, grocery stores, shopping for clothes, all of the fun activities and best restaurants, it is also very close to some of the top private schools, a very large homeschool population, and the most desired public and charter schools in all of the Treasure Valley. Whether or not you have kiddos, it is super important to live near really highly desirable schools because it keeps those property values up. Lastly, the other awesome thing, and this is why it's really important that you give us a call, shoot us a text, or write us an email if you're looking to relocate to Eagle, Idaho, or anywhere else in the Boise, Idaho, Treasure Valley area, is this location is very central to everywhere you would need to get in the valley if you end up in the right part of Eagle. If you end up in the wrong part of Eagle, Idaho, it's gonna take you a lot longer. But where I'm standing specifically, we are super close to Boise, Idaho, Meridian, Idaho, Nampa, Idaho, Star, Idaho, Kuna, Idaho, Idaho. We're just kind of in the middle of all of it.
The 55 to go up to
the 55 to go up to McCall, where you're going to go on vacation. This is why I got video guy Ken. He keeps my all over the place brain focused. Basically, this location, guys, after living in downtown Boise, in downtown Eagle, in Star, Idaho, I have ended up literally right here after jumping ship all those places because as a busy mom, this has been the absolute prime creme de la creme of location right here in Eagle, Idaho. Community, who is relocating to Eagle, Idaho? Who's already here? We decided to come over to Reed Merrill Park, which is one of our many beautiful parks here in Eagle, Idaho, and we're shooting this video on Memorial Day weekend. The people who are moving here are people who love God, love this nation, and who want to keep our country free. This is just one small example, and you may have noticed a change in energy. I did not realize coming over here, I have seen this field many of times already this year, and it still hits hard. So I feel very blessed to be here. This park, we shut down part of the park over this weekend to honor people who have served our country. My daughter actually has golf lessons here during the week, and they've been temporarily moved over to another park so that we can honor our veterans and those who have served us. Just in the brief, 4 or 5 minutes that we've been here, we've seen many people coming and walking through the field, and this is just one very small snippet of what it is like to live in Eagle, Idaho, and what the community is like. As you drive through the neighborhoods, you see flags on many of the homes, and 4th of July.
Just a sense of gratefulness for for the people who sacrificed their lives for us. Now you're making me emotional. Don't do that.
I know, sorry.
Okay.
There's just a sense of pride in our community and respect and appreciation for everything that has gone into making our nation so great and so beautiful. And the overwhelming amount of people who are moving here are people who, again, love God, love this country. Really, it's conservative believers who want to keep Idaho the amazing free state that it is, that are political refugees fleeing from places where they've lost some of those God-given freedoms. So that is who is relocating to Eagle, Idaho, and who lives here. Just got done chatting with the volunteer who's out here today at the Field of Honor, and she let us know that this has been running for 18 years. It's the second longest running in the nation, and it's not just to honor those who have passed fighting for our freedoms, but for those who are currently serving today. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has served, really and truly, and myself and so many others. We are seeing you, we appreciate you, and we are doing our part the best we know how to keep this nation free and not let everything you've done for us go down the drain. We'll see you at the next spot where we get back to Eagle, Idaho. Here we are standing right in downtown Eagle, where this used to be a very cute, quaint, little tiny community epicenter where you could walk down the street, see your neighbor, and drop into a local little restaurant, and it is now being taken over by developers. There is constantly construction here. They are now building multi-story buildings. Just walking distance right down to my left is where my parents live and have relocated to. Their current view is a little field where every year different crops come in and out, and we can see big skies, sunsets, sunrises, the foothills. It's all being replaced with homes, which a lot of people are very excited about. But Eagle used to be, and still for the most part is, about preserving that small town energy, farm-like feel, larger lots, bigger homes, mature landscaping, and unfortunately, just a hop, skip, and a jump walking distance from here, they're putting in storage with brand new houses right across the street and townhomes, lots and lots of townhomes. While I do think it is very important to put in all types of housing, it's not that important to throw storage right into the mix of our cute little downtown area. I don't know, leave in the comments below, what are your thoughts when it comes to developments, home prices going up? This is another reason why it's just ever so important that you give us a call, shoot us a text, and write us an email if you're thinking about relocating to Idaho, because there is constantly things changing. There is just a lot going on, and depending on what part of Eagle you end up in, you might be staring at construction or driving behind all of the tractors and big heavy equipment all day long, or you're gonna end up out somewhere where there's beautiful acreage views or homes on big lots with mature landscaping. You name it, there is quite a mix of development happening here all the time. Not everything's conveniently located, and with all of the money and the desire for more amenities and things to do, This is the kind of stuff that's happening all over Eagle. Like it, don't like it. It's just important that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And I know these videos are super helpful, but they just scratch the surface and they don't really address your and your family's needs personally. And that's where reaching out to us is the most helpful. That's literally what we're here to do. And guys, I run into people now every single week who recognize me, and it crushes me when they say, we've been watching your videos for a year, you've provided us so much value, we moved here, we just bought a house. And I'm like, why didn't you call us? If we provided you that much value and you trust the information I'm giving, it's only going to be that much better if you give us a call. So please don't hesitate to reach out so that you can know everything that's going on and how it will affect you directly, and whether we want to move you right into the middle of it or somewhere else. You just never know. Cost of living. As you can see, I am standing Memorial Day weekend 2024 in front of the Jacksons, which is one of our most popular gas stations here, and the gas prices are $3.83. And a little bird told me recently that in California, some of those tax prices are going up when it comes to the gas out there. Not really something that you see often here in Idaho. I have a video that we will link that goes through a deep dive on our tax system here. Your money is safe in Idaho. Here, Eagle, Idaho is in Ada County. Ada County has lower homeowners taxes than the neighboring county, Canyon County. So for example, you may have heard of Nampa, Idaho. Their property taxes tend to be a little bit higher there than here in Eagle, Idaho. As far as the cost of living when it comes to amenities and going out, it is fairly low here compared to other states. You can go out, get an appetizer, dinner, a drink, and dessert for about the same price as what you would pay for just your dinner and maybe a drink or one app or one dessert in places like Washington, Oregon, and California. Something that you really need to know, one of the reasons why that food cost is so low when you go out to eat is because the servers in Idaho are paid $3 an hour and they're working for your tips. So make sure that you leave a good 20% tip for your service, and it'll keep those food costs down and your service really good. I don't know if you guys can hear all the sound going on in the background, but a year ago when I filmed in Eagle, Idaho, I didn't have to worry about all this noise going on everywhere. It is so crazy how much it's grown. But let's get back to the cost of living, right? The house prices here in Eagle, it is a wide array of home prices, and it really depends on what exactly you are looking for. And it depends on when you're watching this video. So what I like to tell people is Eagle, Idaho is going to be the median home price, or the average home price here is going to be higher than it is in Meridian, Idaho, Star, Idaho, Middleton, Nampa, Kuna, and a lot of the locations in Boise, Idaho. So you're going to pay more for your house and your land in Eagle, Idaho than you will throughout the rest of the Treasure Valley. For numbers specific to what you're looking for and when you're looking for it, that changes all the time, and don't hesitate to reach out and we'll cover what exactly the home prices are at that time. Another thing that's really cool about Eagle, Idaho and the cost of living is your electricity is dirt cheap here. We are hydropower electricity, which means your bill is super duper low. That's really awesome. And water, depending on where you end up, water is a very hot topic in Eagle, Idaho. That's because originally this is farm country, so water is a really big deal because we need it in order to grow those crops. If you live in an HOA that requires green grass but does not provide you with irrigation water in watering season, you are looking at paying upwards of $500 a month to water your lawn. It's the extreme opposite end of the spectrum if you end up somewhere where you need to keep your lawn green, but you're provided irrigation water. The only way to know when you're looking for houses is by working with an expert who really understands exactly what you're looking at as far as your bills go. If you can afford the $500 a month water your lawn, there are some really epic neighborhoods that are super, super cool. But if that's just not in your budget, there are some really epic neighborhoods with lush green landscaping where you can water your lawn for free and you're not going to pay anything. It's wrapped up into your very low HOA dues. Let's go check out some of those neighborhoods right now. We are standing in one of the iconic Eagle, Idaho neighborhoods, the most established of them all, one of the most established of them all, Lexington Hills. This neighborhood is absolutely gorgeous. Just to give you a little example of how amazing this community is, on the way in, it was lined with American flags for Memorial Day weekend. I thought, do we want to shoot there at the entrance of Lexington Hills? No, as we just barely make it into the neighborhood, we see a pond with a water feature and cute little baby ducks with mama duck. Do we stand there, or do we stand in front of this house back here that also has an American flag, just like many of the others? This neighborhood is so wonderful. Camera guy, video guy Ken back here, this is where him and his wife want to end up. This neighborhood is just kind of known for being beautiful, lined with cherry blossoms during spring season. You've got sidewalks, which a lot of the older, more established communities in Eagle, Idaho and throughout Treasure Valley do not have sidewalks. The streets are nice and wide, so when you have cars parked up and down the streets in here, you don't have to worry about it being so jam-packed that you can't drive through or walk. There are parks, water features, ponds. Their homes all look very, very different from one another. The lots are larger. This is very, very similar to what you will get in Eagle, Idaho, in the parts of Eagle where the communities are older and more established. Eagle is kind of broken up into a handful of categories. You've got your older, more established communities like this. You've got some homes on acreage property, and then you've got your newer master plan communities or new construction coming in. And I think Lexington Hills is the perfect example of what it would be like to move into the Boise, Idaho suburbs in a more established community like this one. Speaking of Eagle and neighborhoods and all the types of properties that you can purchase here, I intentionally am not telling you exactly where we are in each and every location because you got to give me a call for that. I have seen too many people fall in love with the neighborhood that I show and buy it without talking to us, and then it wasn't the best fit for them, and I get the phone call afterwards to list their house. I love meeting you guys. I love helping you guys out, but I would like to do it before you make a mistake, not after. So if you want to know the names of these different neighborhoods that I am sharing with you today, or ones very similar, don't hesitate. Give us a call, shoot us a text, or write us an email. We've got your back when you're relocating to Idaho. Another thing about these older, more established communities is that a lot of them do not have a community pool. That's kind of something that you're going to find most often in the newer communities, new construction, not so much in the older established. There are a handful that do have all the beautiful mature landscaping like this that have the community pool, so you'll want to reach out if that's something you're interested in. But what a lot of them do have, like this one for example, is walking paths all throughout and these backyards that are set up very intentionally to land off of all the water features and the ponds. You'll notice that some of these houses have a fence and some do not. There are HOAs here in Eagle, Idaho, and all throughout the Treasure Valley for that matter, that do not allow any fences. And they also have bodies of water. That is either highly desirable to some people or can be a hindrance for many others. It kind of just depends if you have a doggy that might get out or if you're worried about your own children or little grandbabies. Something to be mindful of when you relocate to Idaho is that even if your house is not one of the houses that doesn't have a fence near these properties that are next to bodies of water, is that your new community or your friends may or may not live in an area that does have big ponds or these bodies of water and no fencing. So you're going to want to make sure that your kiddos are great swimmers. It is also important if you're going to venture out into the rivers here, they can move a lot faster or be a lot deeper than people realize. So just a heads up, it's something to be mindful of when you're visiting your new friends. The other thing to be mindful of when you're visiting your new friends, and this is a topic that comes up quite a bit, is a lot of people here own guns and are very proud gun owners like myself. not everyone takes the same safety measures with their guns. And so that's another question to ask, is just, hey, I'm popping over with my kiddos to your house for the first time. Any bodies of water nearby or guns hanging out that we might need to know about? That's just something, pro tip for when you're relocating here. No one's offended. Those are actually really common questions. I myself have had those questions asked, and I always ask those questions when we go over and visit friends. Something worthy of mentioning about HOAs is that here in Idaho, the HOAs, they are not going to drain your bank account. They are not very high, and they do get a little bit higher as you get into those communities that offer a lot more amenities just because there's more green space to care for. But anywhere you're looking at spending, you know, $20, $30 a month, all the way up to a couple hundred a month. It just really depends, and most HOAs are not billing you monthly, it's quarterly or annually. So you're not going to be hurting for paying your HOA dues. And as far as water goes, you might look around and think, oh, that would definitely be a place where I'm watering my lawn, so I probably get that irrigation water that Rachel talked about, and I won't have to spend $500 a month to water my lawn. Not true. Not all of the communities like this include irrigation water with their HOA dues. So there are actually neighborhoods where people have relocated to and thought, this is great, like it looks like this, or maybe even more beautiful and more lush. And then summertime rolls around and they didn't know until their first year in that they were going to be one of those people paying the $500 a month to water their lawn, only to list their house and move out. So definitely you're going to want to make sure that you know what those HOA dues are and whether or not you get the water. And another thing a lot of people don't know is internet can be real spotty depending on which part of the Treasure Valley you end up in. Some of these new communities, before going in and building, took care of that and made sure they were going to be able to provide good internet speeds, and they even include it in their HOA dues. So that's another thing just to keep in mind. Let's talk about location, shopping, and amenities again real quick. Eagle is very spread out, and depending on which part of Eagle in, you're kind of either in Eagle that's close to Meridian, Eagle that's close to Star, or Eagle that's close to Garden City, Boise area. And it looks very different, and your shopping and routines are going to be very different depending on which part of Eagle you end up in. A lot of people don't really talk about the part of Eagle that is closer to Garden City very often. Over there, your typical shopping, you're going to have a Home Depot that you have fast access to, Winco, which is an awesome grocery store where you bag your own groceries and you pay with a debit card, and the groceries are much more affordable than they are at the Albertsons, which is headquartered here. And it's super cool to go visit the Albertsons, take your family there because they have big screen TVs and a bar and all sorts of food, local food, not local food, all sorts of t-shirts and Idaho items that you can buy. But the groceries are dang expensive. That part of Eagle, you're not going to be near the Albertsons. You're going to have to hit a little traffic to get into Target, but you are close to a Walmart. And then you come up to the part of Eagle where you are closer to Star. That part of Eagle, you got every grocery store under the sun. You're a hop, skip, and a jump away from Costco. Same thing with the Eagle closer to Meridian. It just sort of depends on what you're wanting your day to look like. It's just another reason why it's super important to talk to us about what you want your days flow to be like. Some of the newer restaurants and where they're going in, they're closer to the Eagle Meridian or the Eagle Garden City part. This awesome new restaurant that just opened up, Coa Del Mar. They specialize in seafood. It is so beautiful. When you walk in there, you feel like you're walking in a fantasy land. They just crushed it with that location. Depending on what part of Eagle you're in, it's either super, super close or super far away. So just an example of why it's so important. It might look like on a map that you're going to end up close to everything, or far away from everything, and you might end up being a little bit closer to people than you want to be. When you think of Eagle, Idaho, or when most people think of Eagle, Idaho, they think of communities like the one I'm standing in. These are some acreage properties, big, beautiful custom homes on big lots, lots of green grass, all the things you need for your big boy toys. If you are someone who needs, I don't know, a 3-car RV garage or a 5-car RV garage or an outbuilding, if you need a big shop to do all the things you like to do, this is the kind of property that is for you. So there are multiple types of acreage properties in Eagle, Idaho. There's acreage properties like this where you're probably likely still in an HOA, and that HOA is going to cover the expense of maintaining the green space in the community. And you get your irrigation water in most of these communities to keep your grass green, which means you're not paying for irrigation. A lot of these communities allow chickens, a horse or two, maybe a pig or two. Some of them do not. And then the next step from there is kind of, you'll get these communities like this spread out throughout Eagle, Idaho, and you'll notice that one day the land has cows grazing on it, or a random horse that you never saw before, or maybe some goats. And then a few weeks later, those are all gone. That's because there are a lot of properties within communities like this where the land, the farmers will share and rotate their cattle throughout or store horses there, which is an option for you as well if you relocate to a community like that. A lot of people who want a lot of land but aren't sure what to do with it or can't necessarily upkeep it themselves will lease their land out to local farmers who need to graze their cattle or use the property for whatever the reason. Maybe it is for growing crops. Those are all very technical things that you definitely need to reach out for help for. And then from that stage, you can go out even farther to have some like real property. And you'll notice when you're going through properties like that, it doesn't look as green. It's dry land. Those are more common for people to graze their horses on. You're not going to always necessarily get the irrigation water. You may or may not, but that's like way out and big money these days. Something you'll notice about this community specifically is there is no sidewalks. That's not uncommon out here. I know I mentioned it in the last neighborhood. It's just not uncommon to find communities that don't have sidewalks. So you're not going to notice a lot of kiddos out playing with the neighbors necessarily in some of these communities like you would in other ones where the lot sizes are smaller. With that being said, it is still very community oriented. I know earlier in the video we touched on community a little bit. The types of people who are moving into these neighborhoods are still people who want to be a good neighbor, help plow the snow for you. If you need help plowing the snow, they're going to bring you a casserole dish if anything happens. These communities still get together for HOA meetings. They still try and plan barbecues, things like that here and there. It's just not going to be the same situation where you open your front door and your kids run out front and go play with all the neighbors. Once you get to know each other, you might send them over to each other's house. And when you have a big property like this, you'll notice as you drive through the neighborhoods, playgrounds in the backyard or volleyball courts. Some of these houses have pickleball and tennis or their own pool. So you do still get to know your neighbors. You can still have privacy if that's what you desire. But I will say, if you're moving to Idaho, don't become a garage door neighbor. That's the person who pulls into their garage, goes into their house, and then when they're leaving, they pull out of their garage, go off to what they're doing until they're back parking in their garage again. Everyone wants to get to know you. People really are relocating here for community, and the more you know your neighbors, the better off you are. God really did design us to be in community with one another. Now we are in a newer community that is more typical of what most people who are relocating to Eagle, Idaho would purchase. It is a planned out community with a pool, walking paths, a park. Every newer community has its own little theme or flair or spice that they added to it, and everyone is really trying their best to put in as much green space and landscaping as possible. But most of these communities were built on old farm property, so you're not going to get the really super mature landscaping all throughout the community like you saw in the other ones that we have already visited. This is very standard of what you would expect if you're moving here. If you meet about, I don't know, 50 to 80% of the clients that we work with purchase in a community just like this. We actually just sold a house for our friends in this neighborhood and it went fast. They get snatched up quick. So you'll see right over here behind me, we've got the community pool. Some of the communities also have community centers that they'll rent out, but something that all of them have in common is the HOA, the infamous HOA. So when you think of an HOA, you think of like this like overbearing helicopter parent who's like, put your trash cans inside, don't have your RV parked out in the front yard. But that's not what the HOAs are like here in the Treasure Valley. While there's rules and they don't want you to like junk up your house or paint it bright purple, the HOAs are primarily here to maintain the green space and help promote community. So depending on where you live, you might have a 4th of July barbecue or bingo night or a parade on your golf cart in Christmas with the Christmas lights hanging up. It just sort of depends. All of the HOAs have different things they do to help you get to know your neighbor and keep that green space green. So when it comes to a new community, there are rules. They have to leave a certain amount of the community with no homes on it. And that's really where you'll get your biggest differences in the price points throughout the communities. Some of the builders leave the minimum green space. They'll put in a park bench, maybe a small little park, like one little slide, a climbing wall, something along those lines, no pool. Those homes, the price points you're going to find start out a lot lower than the new communities where they don't just put in the minimum green space, but they use a lot of the land for things like the pools, the community centers, tennis, pickleball, maybe just a lot more open green space that they really try and decorate with more mature landscaping. As far as the homes go, when you're purchasing new construction, they typically are building in phases, and the initial phases are less expensive, and as the community progresses, you're going to start finding that you're going to spend more money for a similar home. You'll also find that you can get the exact same home here in Eagle, Idaho that you would get from the same builder maybe in Meridian or Kuna, but the home finishes are higher end here than they would be, let's say, in Kuna, and the price point is much higher. That is because they tend to build the same floor plan but with different finishes based on the price point of the surrounding communities. And because Eagle, Idaho tends to be more expensive, you're going to find that the newer construction here is also finished off with higher end like countertops, maybe fully tiled bathrooms, etc. They learned from the market crash many, many years ago that they should not put a home with like gold faucets and bidets in a small town next to a trailer park, that they like to put those things next to homes on more acreage that are more custom, because it helps them protect the value of the houses. If you've noticed, I like to talk about sidewalks. This community and most of the new communities, if not all of them, have sidewalks. That's because some of the codes have changed over the years here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho. Even infill developers, let's say they're going to go into downtown Boise and knock down an old house and put on build a couple row homes, because that's what they're all doing. They have to add sidewalks. So these new communities, you're going to find that typically people who are moving in here are pet owners, or they have kiddos, or maybe they're retired and they want to be in a community where their neighbors can have their back and kind of help them out a little bit. You're going to find that that's who's moving here, and sidewalks, I think, play a big role in that. It just creates an environment where people can get out in their neighborhood and spend time in their community more, just like that. The other thing that you'll find is a sales center when you walk into these new communities. And the sales center looks like the place you walk in to buy one of the houses. While you can buy a house at a sales center, you do not want to. Would you go to court with your opponent's attorney defending you? Probably not, right? Because that would be like the stupidest decision ever. When you buy a house, I'm not calling you stupid, but if you walk into a sales center and you use the builder's rep, it is exactly the same as going to divorce court with your ex's attorney. You're probably going to get the short end of the stick because you think you're saving a few bucks here and there. They will advertise that you get better deals, but take it from me and all the people who I've gotten phone calls in tears, or all of the real estate attorneys that are relocating here, it's because We have so many people every single day who are relocating, who use the builder's representation. They close on the home, and then it turns out they did get the short end of the stick, but they didn't know until down the road. You are definitely going to want to reach out and hire your own representation. We sell a lot of homes, and we also represent a lot of buyers, and our responsibility is in the person we're representing. So if you are looking for new construction or to relocate to a community like this, or something like we looked at earlier where you end up on acreage, whatever it is, you are definitely going to want to reach out, give us a call, shoot us a text, write us an email so that we can help you out. And if there is even more that you're looking to learn about this area, check this video out. And until the next time, be blessed.